Okay, so a little tutorial on how to trim your wig. You can see this side I've already trimmed. It's now remaining this other side. So I want to show you a little trick I use whenever I want to trim my wig. Okay, so what I do is this. I get my tape, I pin it, I put my tape where the last weft is. You see, this is where my last weft is starting. That is where I'll pin it. Where my last weft is, I'll pin it there. Then I'll do the same thing too at the front. Where my last weft is, I would also pin it there. So this point here is exactly where my last weft stops. Now another beautiful thing you need to put into consideration is this: the length you want to cut your hair. Now, this bundle I use for this hair is an 8 inches and a 10 inches bundle. That was what I used for this hair. Then with a 12 inches closure. So you see that everything is aligning. Look at the parts that I have not cut. You will see that the difference in the short wefts are not that much, right? The difference in the short wefts, they are not too much. So now what I do is this. You cannot say, okay, because I use an 8 inches bundle and a 10 inches bundle to wig the hair, that when it's time to cut, I'll cut it at 10 inches. No, you don't do that. Why? Because if you cut it at this 10 inches, your hair is going to be way more short. It's going to be giving you an 8 inches vibe. Okay? Look at where my cap is. You see here is where my cap is. Let me, here now, here my comb is where my weft is. That's my bundle, my cap started from, okay? Here my comb is where my cap started from. Now imagine I go and cut it by 10. Don't you think it's going to be way more shorter? So on that effect, you're going to be cutting it at 12. If for instance your customer says, okay, your customers lay an emphasis on, I want it to be an 8 inches when you're done trimming, you know you're going to start from 10 to trim it. Do you get? But if is a 10 inches that your customer is aiming for, you have to start from 12 to trim it. So after 12, automatically you're going to get a 10 inches. But if you do it at 10, automatically you're going to be getting an 8 inches. So I'm going now to start cutting. So before we start cutting again, I'm going to remind you that you're going to be putting 2 tapes. At least for a beginner, you that don't know how to trim perfectly, okay? You'll be using 2 tapes. You put 1 tape where your last weft is at the front, and you also do the same thing here where your last weft is at the front. So we are aiming at 12 inches, remember, right? So see where my 12 is, right? It's also the same place where this 12 is too. So as I'm going to be cutting it, they are going to be aligning, right? Now let's go into that. Okay, so we are going in to start trimming. Now when you're trimming, your picking comb should be your best friend, okay? So I'm going to start. When you want to trim, don't mind keep your clipper like this or like this. So remember, we are cutting at 12. Make sure your clipper is straight, okay? Do you see that? Okay, so let me take my tripod up a little bit. So you can see very well what I'm doing. So I'm going to go in again to cut.